Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Commission Breath. Brandon Love and Tom Moffat coming to you live from Montreal. We are here at the MPC conference. We're having a lot of fun. We kind of crashed the party. We didn't go to the actual formal conference itself, but we've been at all the lender events and meeting different brokers and agents during the day. So we were going to give a little recap today on our highlights, what we learned from the event, and also just something we've tweaked in our strategy this week.
Yeah, and this is a learning curve for us because this is our first MPC event, and I mean we're not even in the conference as Brandon alluded to. We're just kind of degenerates party hopping with the several lender parties, and it's kind of cool. Like I don't know for you, the listener, you may or may not have been to MPC, and even if you have, you may not have experienced the lender side of things. Like it's this whole new world that we're both experiencing. It's pretty cool. Like essentially there's a core group of lenders who are putting on parties, and what we do is we go to one lender party, you hop to the next one, and it's kind of this like go series of events where you're trying to make an appearance in each one. A lot of fun. You had some drinks, meet some people. So we're going to kind of dive into what we've learned thus far being here on now day 2 and go from there.
Yeah, the best way to describe it is a really bougie bar hop.
Yeah.
So it's a good time. But let's digress. Obviously, there's been some cocktails flowing, some fun had that way, but we've also learned some stuff along the way. So why don't we dive into some of those points, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. The first point that I think was really cool is we were already well aware that you can structure your business any sort of way. And there's so many different avenues you can go in how you structure teams, whether you're a solo broker doing everything or a solo broker with a contracted fulfillment person, or if you're someone that just wants to build out a team of agents underneath you. Like there's so many different ways you can skin a cat in this business. And I'm always amazed at hearing these different structures that I've never heard of before. And I think like one of the takeaways that I'm realizing from this is like never ending possibilities of the ways you want to have your team underneath you, for example. There's probably a couple examples that you can give that we've met a couple brokers and how they've structured theirs.
Yeah, there was a pretty cool team. It was just like a father-son duo, and they had, I think, 20 agents below them. They do over 500 mil a year, but they've got a really like nice systems-based approach put in. They just flow through their deals. Everyone on their team knows how to do mortgages. They don't have any newbies or anything like that. And it was just like a very fun community that they had built, very sticky. All the same people had been with them for years, and they were just having fun doing it. A lot of the time, we talk to people who aren't in love with their business anymore. I think it's because they built something that's unsustainable. Well, it might be profitable. It's like sucks away their emotional energy. So it was cool to see this team that had built it around the community and like the culture side of things. And everyone's making a ton of money now, but they're all a lot of fun in the process as well.
Yeah, and another example I can give is there's another team that we know of that I think they're around 600 mil, and theirs is a bit different. Like they have their core group of them that are partners that do their own business, but then they have like salaried individuals, like salary mortgage agents that work for them, where they just hand off the leads to them and they take the file and run with it. And I thought that was pretty cool too. So it really just depends on like how you want to structure your business. Or maybe you're listening, you're like, hey, I'm new, I just want to like hit 10 mil. You start somewhere and these things kind of evolve and you never really know where the industry's going to take you. So I always thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity because you're having drinks and you can actually have these conversations. Like when you're in your regular work week, if someone calls you and asks you 100 questions about your business, it's kind of annoying because you're trying to work on your actual business. But when you're just relaxing, having a couple cocktails, you're more open to sharing the ins and outs about things, some nuance, maybe some tips. So I think that was definitely an eye opener for seeing different models, but also a great opportunity and an upside of the event was getting to be able to talk in detail about what people were doing.
Yeah, so let's move on to point number 2. And the second thing that we've learned here is that it's really important to foster the relationships. Like you and I have been vocal about us not really caring too much to go to these like in-person events earlier on in our career. And whether that was a good or bad thing doesn't really matter because what we're realizing now, these live in-person events are super crucial for creating different relationships within the industry. And I always think it is about that collaboration piece amongst each other. The small industry, we'll dive into our third point and why we actually think it's not a small industry. But having those forged relationships with other provinces or other brokers that specialize in maybe commercial or private or something that you don't specialize in, it's great to have that connection in case you have a file that you need to go broker in the future.
Yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity for as your business grows and you get different lead sources versus someone calling and obviously you have a no-go list. We talk about how that's important. But someone calls and says, "Hey, do you work on commercial files?" "Oh, no, I don't, but I know X. They're friends of mine I met in Montreal." Whatever you tell to the partner who's referring you, and you make that introduction that way. So it's an opportunity for you to keep it within the brokering community, but also make a little extra revenue that way. Additionally, for like geographical locations, like Tom said, you have a file in Vancouver. Great. You just met a bunch of cool people from out west. You have a file out east. Likewise, there. Those Quebec files that are tricky to do. What better place to meet people than in Montreal? So a lot of people go and like try to ask on Facebook groups like ILMB and say, "Oh, I have this like file. I need to co-broker with someone here." If you've gone to one of these events and you've met people and you've made a conscientious effort to actually connect with people outside of your tribe, you're going to now have that relationship where you can reach out to them and maybe they'll say yes, maybe they'll say no, or maybe they'll say, I can't do it right now, but I can connect you with someone else. At least you have that inroad and you're not just blindly throwing stuff against a Facebook wall.
We personally know a couple of brokers that have built their business off of these co-broker relationships, or like we know of a couple that just dive into the Facebook groups like day in, day out and commenting and giving tips on like underwriting or people asking those questions. And they've built their business off of that. Like it works. I talked to one individual last night who created, I think it was 2 to 3 relationships, like 2 to 3 relationships. One was like a commercial builder, and the other two were actual other mortgage brokers, and he's built his business off of that. So all it takes, obviously not in every occasion, but it can take really just under 10 relationships within the industry to actually like really thrive.
Yeah, and it's also a great way to learn, like you said, there are different models of how you build business. Obviously, we've built off of realtor relationships and now FAs, but there's people we connected with who built businesses just like you said, through just co-brokering or serving a builder or serving a really niche like farm lending option. So there's different avenues you can take. You don't always have to carbon copy the realtor approach that we say here. So going to something like MPC was a great way to hear these different ways that people built it and also the size and scale that they've been able to grow their business in different channels.
Yeah, you see some monster brokers here. That's something that I thought was pretty cool, which is expected. I mean, you have your top brokers going to a lot of these lender parties, so you're going to have some top dogs there. Why don't we dive into tip number 3, or not tip number 3, but the third thing we learned? This was shocking to us because we all think of the Canadian mortgage industry as this small knit community, which it still is, but it's bigger than we thought. Like we met some brokers that like they didn't know us, we didn't know them. We realized there's like some really popular brokers in the industry that other people didn't know them. So it was just really mind blowing in that sense.
Yeah, I think there's like this idea that you take like your Scott Peckford, your Dustin Woodhouse, your Ryan Wiley, Jill Mollering, for example, really big on the social media community, and a lot of people know them from that, and it's awesome because they've given a lot back to the mortgage community. So we always think, okay, everyone must know them, but then we saw like people who had no idea who certain people were, and it was because they weren't tapped into the social media side of things. They just run their business a totally different way, and they're not spending time on social, so they're never seeing any interaction this way. For us, it was kind of eye opening because obviously we're building Tango and we're building the brokerage side of things. So it was like just a reminder to not focus only on social and to look at different avenues and channels to connect with people. But also for someone who's like in business themselves, like you don't always need to go with the person who's the loudest on social media to get advice. Like there's probably someone sitting in an office banging out 250 million in a year who never logs on to Facebook at all. You can get a lot of
And Nomad.
mentors.
I
Yeah.
love brokers. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a lot of valuable mentorship and guidance from people like that. So I would just say, like, don't be so quick to rush to a judgment for the social media personas, for lack of a better term.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people that look like they're busy and top brokers or realtors online when they're not. But I do think like it is important to be on social and be online because it is that online business card at the end of the day. And I think that's the trend that we're heading towards. Not everyone, but a lot of your clients are going to search you online when they connect with you, and whether or not you're online or not, that client may not work with you because they don't see you there. So I think it is important, but I think there's quicker ways to scale off the top at the beginning of your career versus trying to master social media. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, for sure. So anyways, not everyone's on social. That was an eye opener for us. The community is bigger than we think. So that was a few takeaways. Obviously, we are only seeing the evening side of the whole conference. There's so much more that's going on at the actual conference itself, and we will go next year. Just timing wise, it didn't line up for us.
Hard to do both. Like if we wanted to do all the lender stuff next year, it would be hard. I guess MPC, all of the events are for the most part during the day. I think it runs into the evening too, but it'd be a long day to do all of it.
Yeah, well, we'll have to suck it up.
That's right.
That's besides the point. That's our takeaways. People who actually attended the full event, let us know what you learned and gleaned from going to the talks and stuff like that, because I'm sure there's a ton of value there that we can highlight for the community as well. Process wise, one thing we changed this week is if you've listened to previous episodes, you know that we've done a lot of value adds with realtors, like doing a offer assist video that goes out to the listing realtor.
Yeah, like it offers this is basically if Brandon has a live file and it's a purchase and he's working with a realtor, then he's going to offer the client and a realtor an offer assist video. So it's a video where he records and he says, "Hey, Mr. Seller, it's listing realtor, just letting you know I'm the mortgage broker on the file. I'm helping Adam Smith with this mortgage. Have any questions, let me know, but they're fully pre-approved and they're ready to go for financing." Along those lines. I haven't done it in a while. That's pretty rough.
Yeah, that was a pretty rough one, but basically it just strengthens the offer. It's like people used to draw a fucking picture or have their kids draw a picture of the house being like, we want to live here. They probably still do that. But like just ways to have the offer stand out. And this works really well. But the thing is that I found a lot of people would forget that we did it, or a lot of people were like too proud to ask for it. They're like, no, I can get my own deals done,
Or
whatever.
they just feel like they don't need it.
Yeah, so it's just like not everyone was doing it. So I was like, fuck this. It is a big value add. I'm going to stop offering it. I'm going to stop asking for it. And I'm just going to start doing it. So we were driving to Montreal. I didn't want to record a video in my car. So I just fired it off in an email instead. And clients won the offer. The listing realtor sent me a note back saying, thanks. That was really helpful in persuading the seller. They also sent that to my realtor partner as well, who sent me a big thank you note saying, "Hey, totally unexpected. Thank you for going the extra mile." So it was like a standout across the whole board. Obviously, helped get the deal done, and it was very easy. It was like a 3 sentence email. So process wise, we're going to put this in for any clients that we get confirmation that the offer has been placed. We're going to send this off, and it's just a nice way that will grow our realtor database. Will help our clients win their purchases more frequently and overall just strengthen our offering for our existing realtor partners.
So from there, you can do two things. Lazy method, add their email to their actual Friday emails, the list.
Yeah.
And that listing realtor is not going to mind because you've provided value and they're not going to be pissed if you add them to the list because there's that warm intro. You guys have already chatted over email. This could be done over text too, by the way, text, call, whatever. I think email for you was quickest at the moment, so it just made sense. And also, the second thing you do is book that meeting at closing or whatever during the process. It's going to be a pretty easy win to get that meeting. Have you searched that realtor, the listing realtor, if they're busy?
Yeah. So what I would say is once you get confirmation that the file's going to fund, like you remove conditions, let's say your broker complete, you can then circle back and have the meeting. You want to finish on a high note. So you want them knowing, okay, this deal's going to close. I'll give this broker a chance. Like customer service was fantastic. I'm going to have the meeting with him. They're primed and ready for that conversation with you. So it just tees you up perfectly there. If for whatever reason they're a fucking nightmare throughout the process, they're hard to deal with, then don't do this. This is like something you can add when it makes sense for you, when you need to get more gas on your fire, you want to get more deal flow, turn this on. If you're too busy or you just want to chill out for a bit, turn it off. It's something that you can just add and subtract as needed. There's no pressure on it. It's something that's an added bonus. It's not an expected service.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's ways you can like automate this thing, but I think like spending time trying to figure that out, it's so quick and easy for you to manually do that. And you can throttle it on and off when you need to. Like if you don't want that meeting right now with the realtor, you don't have to book that meeting, but maybe you just add them to the list and nurture them over time. Maybe they send you bidders automatically, or maybe you're like, hey, you know what? Like I remember that realtor I added to the list like a couple months ago. I kind of like want to have a couple more meetings just to get some more leads in. I'm gonna reach out to that realtor, and they've been getting my emails for the last couple months.
100%. All right. So Tom and I have to get our monkey suits on again and get ready for another couple parties. So tonight we're going to CMLS, First National, Scotia, and then M3 is throwing a banger at the very end. So we're going to gear up for that. Thank you for being listeners. Thank you to the mortgage community. We really appreciate those of you who were at the conference today, came up and said hi to us. It was nice to get some feedback. that way. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Cheers.